Okay, in today's class, we will discuss about relationships. So, what is relationships? What are the types of relationship we have in the CRM? Okay, what is relationship? Relationship is creating a link between two entities. So, why we need to link entities? For example, if you see the data here, we have course and student. So, when I'm trying to create a student record, so when I go to student entity, create a student record, I see there is a course. Okay, course is a different entity over here, right? Student is one entity, course is a different entity. So how the course data is displaying in a student entity? Because these two entities are related. Okay, so relationships are creating a link between two entities. What are the types of relations we have? Types available in CRM. We have three types. One is one to n relationship, we call as one to many. Second is n to one, that is many to one. Third is n to n, that is many to many. Now, when we create 1 to n, when we create n to 1, and when we create n to n, let's discuss this. So, we have a different entities like entity 1, entity 2. So, here one record from entity 1 can link to multiple records in entity 2. What type of relationship it is? One record of entity 1. In entity we can have multiple records. So one of the record from entity 1 can link to multiple records of entity 2. So here one record is linking with multiple records from different entity. So this relationship type is one to many. So when you have a requirement, for example, in CRM, if you see here, uh, I'll go to accounts. I'll open any record, account record. So when I go to related section and click on contacts, what I see one record is linked with another record. When I click new here, same way we can create multiple. Now can you tell me what type of relationship exists between account and contact entity? See, this is account entity where we log in. and this is the parent record, that is A Datum Corporation. So this A Datum Corporation record from account entity is linked to three three records from contact entity. So this grid, this control, we called it as a subgrid. This grid holds three records, and these three records are linked to one parent record. Okay, so when we create one-to-one relationship, if we have to link one parent record to multiple child record, then we will create a one-to-n relationship. So when we create n-to-one, just make sure when we create one-to-n in one entity, okay, so what is relationship? Relationship will relate two entities. In one entity, if I create one-to-n relationship, in another entity, system will automatically create n-to-one relationship. Okay, now for example, I will show you. Now we have different entities, right? Contracts and agreements. So one contract can have multiple agreements. Why is this? Okay, we can build a relationship. One contract can have multiple agreement. Okay, so here we don't have any contract record and agreement record. Let's open the contract record. I will create one active contract, demo contract. Contract start date is 1st of October to this. Okay, so now this contract can have multiple agreement. Okay, so we can have weekly agreement, we can have 2 weeks one agreement, we can have monthly agreement during this contract period. So how we can build a relationship? As of now, there is no relationship between contract and agreements. Now what we will do, our requirement is we have to link one contract with multiple agreements. So which means one contract, multiple agreements means it's a one to n relationship. From which entity it will be one to n? One is a contract, n is a agreement. Okay, so we'll go to solution, navigate to settings. How you navigate? In this screen, you will click on this setting icon, click on advanced settings. It will take you to this screen. Settings, solution. We'll navigate to the solution. Okay, where is the contract? Here it is. Now open the contract entity. When you expand the contract entity, you will see relationship that you can create from one entity. So since these three types of relationship that exist in the CRM, we have to open the entity. Now from contract, we have to create one to n relationship between contract and agreement. So expand the entity, click on one to n relationship and click on new one to many relationship. Okay. So primary entity is contract. Related entity is what we need to set. What is the related entity? Agreement. Agreement. So related entity is agreement. So primary entity is contract, related entity is agreement. So what will happen when we create a relationship between two entities? So a lookup will create. Why the lookup will create? Lookup will link these two data. So if I go to student here, if I go to student, if I open any student, so its student entity is linked with courses. Course lookup is created. Okay. So when you create any relationship, lookup will create. But the question is where the lookup will create. Lookup will create in the child entity or related entity. So now tell me what is the parent entity, what is the child entity, where the lookup will create.
I think parent entity is contract.
Okay.
Uh, Child entity is agreement.
Okay. Where lookup will create?
In contract.
No. I told you, right? Lookup will create in child entity. What is the child entity? Child entity is agreement,
Agreement. Yeah, correct.
right? So lookup will
Yeah,
create in agreement. And what lookup will show?
contract.
Contract. Okay. So contract. I can give any label name. Select contract. I'm giving it as giving the lookup name as select contract. So since lookup is a field, we can select the whether the field is optional, required, or recommended. Okay, let it be optional. Save and close. Not publishing anything. Now the relationship is created. Now click on save and close. Okay. Now go to form. Okay. Here we have agreement, child form. I am adding form to this solution because agreement is created in different solution, contract is created in different solution, right? So now from going on, we will create all customizations in one solution. So we have created a relationship between contract and agreement as 1 to n. One is a parent is a contract, child is a agreement. So lookup will created in child entity. So let's go to the form, main form, and we'll see select contract. And also we will create agreement name, and we'll create another field, agreement type or agreement number we will create. Okay. Let's say publish. So what happened when we create one-to-one relationship? When we create one-to-one relationship, lookup will create in child entity. What will happen in parent entity? Subgrid will create in parent entity. Let's see. Now lookup is added in child entity, that is agreement. Now I will open the parent entity, that is contract form. Let's open main form. So I told you, right, in the first class, while discussing about the form customization, body, header, footer, navigation. When we select navigation, we can place available relationship. Agreement is already automatically added to navigation here, as you can see. Now let's save and publish this as well. Okay. Now let's refresh in the CRI. I go to contract, open the contract, agreement. Why subgrid will create in the parent entity? Why the lookup will create in the child entity? Can anybody guess? Reason is lookup holds one record, right? One record is linking one record. Multiple records are linked to one record, right? So this link where we will select one record is a lookup that will create in child entity. So why in parent entity, why subgrid will create? Because subgrid holds multiple records. So as you can see here, and I'm creating new agreement, agreement number 001, text one, save and close. I will create another agreement, agreement 2, 2. See, you can see contract, select contract is, it will select only one. If I select another one, this value will clear up. It will holds only one record. So this record, this one record is linked to multiple records that are creating in agreements, right? So, and when we open contract entity, why we see the subgrid? Because a parent entity will link with multiple entities, multiple records. All these records will be shown in a subgrid. Clear? Any questions? Let me know so far. No questions? Okay. Now this is 1 to n. What is n to 1? many to 1. So here I have told you one example, right? We have E1 entity and E2 entity. One record from E1 can link to multiple records from E2. So how we are going? We are going in this direction. For 1 to n, we are going in this direction where 1 is parent, n is child. Now n to 1. What is n to 1? Same here, but it will be from child entity. Multiple records from one entity. Okay, multiple records from E2 entity can link to one record from E1 entity. It's a vice versa. 1 to n, one record will link to multiple entities, one record will link to multiple records. N to 1 is multiple records will link to one record. Clear? So So when we create one to n relationship between two entities, so here we have created contract and agreement, where we are created relationship in contract of 1 to n. When I navigate to agreement, it's a vice versa is n to 1. If I go to n to 1 relationship, you see here relationship is already created of vice versa. We have created relationship of 1 to n in contract, but system will create n to 1 relationship in another entity, that is child. Now tell me, if I go to any entity and create n to 1 relationship, will system create 1 to n relationship in another entity?
Yeah, absolutely. It will create automatically.
Exactly, it will create, because it's a vice versa. When we do 1 to n in another entity, it will reflect as a n to 1. If we do n to 1 in one entity, it will do vice versa in the another entity. It is for 1 to n and n to 1. Okay, only for. So what will happen when we create 1 to n or n to 1 relationship? This lookup will create in child entity, subgrid will create in the parent entity. Both are same because it's a vice versa relationship. Let's check this as well. Now from agreement, I am creating 1 to n to 1 relationship to courses. So related entity is agreement. I will select course. So where lookup will create agreement, because agreement is a child entity. Okay. So what data that lookup will show? Course data. So I will give as name as select course. Save and close. Now I will add course entity over here. Entity. Okay. Course is automatically added. When I go and check 1 to n relationship, you see agreement and course is automatically added. We have created the relationship between agreement and course as a n to 1 from agreement, it is created N to 1 agreement and course. But when I navigate to course entity of vice versa relationship, that is 1 to n, it's created. If we create 1 to n in another entity, n to 1 will create. If we create n to 1 in one entity, in another entity, it will create 1 to n. System will automatically create. You don't have to create it. Okay. So both relationships functionality is same. Lookup will create in child entity, subgrid will create in a parent entity. What lookup will do, what subgrid will do, we know. Lookup will holds one record, subgrid will holds one multiple records. Okay. Now agreement is our child entity. Let's go to form, open main form. We have the field that is select codes. You see here, save and publish. Now if I go to course and select the navigation, we would have, it would have added the agreement entity. Let's see, course, form, open main form, navigation, agreements. Okay, we'll do save and publish. Let's refresh the CRM. Okay, now if I go to agreements, test1 agreement related, we don't have because it's a child entity. In child entity, lookup is created. Dynamics 365. Save. When I navigate to this codes record and see here, select agreement. Okay. Now I have a question. So here lookup will create. When we create relationship, lookup will create, right? We have a lookup as a data type in the CRM. Clear? We have, when I navigate to contract entity or navigate to agreement entity, I'll go to form. I will add one field here. What field I will add? I will add, create one field called responsible. Okay. I will create a responsible field of type lookup. I will target to user. Okay. So I need to link agreement who will be responsible for that specific agreement. So now here I am creating a lookup field. I'm not creating a relationship directly. I am creating a field of type lookup in responsible entity. And this lookup will show user data in responsible entity. Now my question is, will it create a relationship? If yes, what type of relationship it will create? If no, why it will not? Please think.
Yeah, it will create 1 to n relationship.
No, it will not. It will create relationship, but it will not 1 to n. It will be of type n to 1
Okay.
because
Contract.
lookup is creating child entity. Child is n. user will be parent entity. Okay.
Okay.
So when we create a lookup, indirectly in the system, relationship will create. What type of relationship? Since lookup will is always lookup creating child entity, it will be a n to 1. Okay, this is when we create a lookup field, field system will create a relationship type n to 1. Okay. What is n? N is a related in which entity we are. N is entity where we have created a lookup field. Okay. What is 1? Is a targeted entity. What is targeted entity? So we have created this lookup field. What is that? Responsible. So when I open this responsible field, click on change properties. Details. When you select lookup field, you have to select the target entity. This entity, target entity, will be a parent entity, and this responsible lookup is created in which entity? Agreement entity. So agreement will be a child, parent will be a user. Just blind indication, wherever you create a lookup, wherever the lookup will create, it will be a child entity. The another entity will be a parent entity. Save and publish. Let's refresh the CRM. Agreement. Refresh. We will see responsible. It will target to user. And select this here. So now clear 1 to n and n to 1. Let's discuss n to n. What is n to n relationship? Multiple records from one entity will link to multiple records from another entity. Okay. Now let's see. I will create a relationship between contract. So we will do contracts on products, for example. So multiple contracts can create for multiple products, multiple same products. Okay, for one contract I will create mobile. Okay, one mobile product is mobile, contract is we are creating a contract. So in one contract I will link mobile. For the say another contract I will link mobile, but contract type will be a different, vendor will be a different. Okay, so now I will create n to n relationship from contract. So when I click on new many to many relationship, so here we will not have lookups because it is not related to any specific, it will be multiple. So entity, one entity is contract, another entity is product. So here we are linking multiple contracts with multiple products. Save and close. But what will happen when we create end-to-end relationship? We know what will happen when we create one-to-n. Lookup will create in child entity, in parent entity, subgrid will create. But what will happen when we create multiple end-to-end relationship? In both entities, because it's a multiple records. What type of control will hold multiple records? Subgrid. In both entities, subgrid will create. It's created. Now let's navigate to contract and form. Main form. Select navigation, products. Let's add it. Okay. Now let's save and publish this. End-to-end contract we have created between contract and products. Now in contract we have added the product. Let's navigate to product entity and we will see the we will add the contract. Product entity form. We'll add one main form. I'm not creating it, it's already there in the system. I'm just adding this form to the solution. Okay, let's navigate to product form. Select navigation, contract, drag and drop. Save, publish. Let's locate here. Let's refresh. Related. Sorry, I need to navigate to contract entity, contract, demo contract, products. Add existing product, iPhone. From iPhone, we'll go to related, navigate to contracts, demo contract. Same way I can add another contract here. There is no contract. I will create new contract. Demo contract 2. and demo contract 2 and agreement is there. Sorry, product. Okay, this way we can create multiple, we can link multiple records to another multiple records. You can add existing other product like this. Clear? Any questions? Let me know, please.